Welcome back to Fiyah Life. It's your girl Lils, and today's video is a little different because we will be baking a Jello cake. Yes, you heard it here first. I was introduced to this cake by my auntie Lily. Before she passed away, we would make this cake all the time, and I always thought it was a family recipe until one day I was looking at a cake box and found at the bottom of the cake box the recipe for a Jello cake. But anyway, family recipe or not, I'm considering it a family recipe, and I love making it. I love eating it. So here we go. We'll come back to the sugar and sour cream and Jello later. I don't bake much, but I do bake this cake, and we're just gonna go with the flow and let's get it started. Start with the white cake mix, take it out, pour it in a bowl as such. A little ASMR moment. You're welcome. Okay, so now that we're done, I like to store all of my trash in the box as I'm baking. Anyway, next step, we're gonna go on to the eggs. You're gonna need 3 eggs and crack them just like that into the bowl. Add your oil, add your water. Wow. Now stir, stir, stir. Look at the wrist. Once you're done and everything's smoothed out, you pour it into your pan. Be sure to add some non-stick spray or oil to your pan so your cake doesn't stick to it. Preheat the oven to 350, and then when it's ready, stick the cake in the oven. Next step, Jello. Watch me struggle taking the packet out of the box. Pour the Jello into a bowl. Add your hot water, add your cold water. Once again, you want to stir, stir, stir. Wow, look at that Jello. So I'm actually making the Jello about 3 hours after the cake was completed in the oven, and I let the entire thing cool off. Notice the fork marks in the cake. That's not just to check if it's ready, but it's also where this Jello is gonna go inside the cake. Yep, inside the cake. So wait for it. Oh, also I wanted to add more holes in the cake, just so that Jello can penetrate through and make it really nice and moist. Quick side note, I baked 2 cake mixes, which is why I had double of everything out on the table, and why the cake is so large and thick, as you'll see in just a moment. But those are the holes. Poke as many as you want. It doesn't matter the direction. You just want enough holes so the Jello will penetrate through the moist cake as such. Wow, look at that. Jello in the cake, hence Jello cake. Some people call it Jello Poke Cake because obviously you're poking holes in the cake and then you're inserting the Jello in those said poked holes. I call it Jello Cake. If you call it Jello Poke Cake, or if there are other names for it, please comment below. I'm very curious to know, since I did think this was an original family recipe when it wasn't, but I'm still claiming it as a family tradition, which I will uphold. So there you go. Anyway, back to the cake. As you'll see here, the side of the cake is looking very Jello-ish, but I think we can do better. Yeah, add more, and add more in slow-mo. There's no set amount of Jello that you should add to the cake. It's really up to you and how much you want it to absorb the white cake and add flavoring and color. I personally added the whole pitcher and just let it soak in, just like that. Sour cream. Why the hell am I using sour cream? Well, this is the fun part of making the Jello cake, and that is the frosting. Now what you want to do first of all is empty out the sour cream container about 1/4 of the way. Put them in a bowl. I'll tell you about that later. But you want to work with the container that the sour cream is currently in, because the next step you're going to do is you're going to add sugar into that sour cream container. Yeah, sugar, sour cream, sugar, sour cream, sugar, sour cream. Just like that. Whew. There's no set amount of sugar either. I just am pouring and tasting as I go, but I would say about 1 cup into the 1/3 of the sour cream available, and you just mix it in there until it becomes more of a creamish color, not so much white anymore, until all the sugar is blended in and it tastes good to your liking. If you want it more tarty, then don't put as much sugar. If you want it more sweeter, I say add more sugar, and then once it's all good, it'll be smoothed out and creamy, And you go ahead and begin frosting the cake. My mouth is watering just watching this, and I'm the one pouring the frosting. More slow motion. So you want to cover the entire cake on top with all of the sour cream. I used the whole container, the whole 3/4, and then I just got to spreading. As I mentioned before, I don't consider myself a professional baker, more of a hobby for fun. I'm craving cake baker, special occasion. I'll do what I gotta do baker. So don't mind the skills. If you are skilled with the frosting, kudos to you. If not, all you really need is a cute little spatula like I have here. And it pretty much does all the work for you. And in terms of looks, I'm really not into it being too perfect. You'll see some red still on the sides. That's fine. You can either use that extra sour cream that was left on the side. You can add sugar to that as well to cover the red spots. So don't worry about frosting it to perfection. It's up to you on how you want to do that. But I'm done. This is what it is for me. I've seen some people add some fruit on top. You can do whatever you want, honestly. You don't even have to use raspberry. You could do whatever flavor of Jello you want. Next up, final step before we get to eating it is placing the cake in the fridge. And by fridge, I mean the fridge with all the beers in it. Once you're done, I let it sit overnight. You want to unravel the foil, and unfortunately the foil gripped onto the sour cream, which is fine. As I mentioned before, your cake doesn't have to be perfect unless this is for a contest or someone else's house. So you may want to do a better job than I did with the foil. I still ate the cake frosting that was on the foil, but this is it. This is the final product. We're now going to cut into it. My favorite part, because it means I get to eat it soon and share it with the whole family. But I think this is a perfect cake either for special occasions, the summer, because it's a light tasting cake. And as you'll see, the red, that's the Jello. But this is where the poking comes in. You'll see. See how it dripped through? Oh, wow. Look at that. Now, it looks like it absorbed a lot at the bottom, but as I mentioned before, you can't pour too much Jello into the cake because the cake is so thick that it absorbs the Jello mixture, and it barely looks like I have any Jello in there, but it still looks amazing. It was amazing. It tasted so good. I especially love that the Jello mix absorbed at the bottom of the cake, which made it very moist at the bottom with a little thicker texture in the middle. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. The recipe is in the description below. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Let me know in the comments if you have made this cake and if you liked it or not. Also, I sell merch, FiyahLife.com. Thank you, I appreciate you. Life is a blessing. Be well. Peace.